Curb Servers, episode 18. Now, last time we checked in, I was breaking down how the curb serving crew was two different blocks coming together, right? And I also was breaking down, and I've introduced this multiple times, right? How Jax is responsible for bringing this game to the community. Now, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper, right? And get a little bit more understanding on what that means. Because up to now, I've been pretty vague. You know, we was working for some Jamaicans in a trap house, Jamaicans that Jax brought around. It got a little dangerous. The police was on us, and the Inglewood Bloods was on us, so we wind up going to the big house. This is where all the Jamaicans live. This is where they really slept, where they laid their head, where their mother lived at. Yeah, me and Little Wino, we was there all the time. Nobody else can attest to this spot, besides probably Edie and Jax. They probably, of course, they've been there, but probably not even Edie, because her Jamaican dude. Anyway, we're gonna break this story down just a little bit more. Now, as me and Wino, Little Wino, we flee from the big house, the Jamaican kingpin house, basically. We're back in the community sitting on the block. And we got this game, like I've said many times. Now, see, this is why Jax is not a main character in this story, but she's a central character. Why? Because she's the root cause. Let me break it down. See, when we're back on the block originally, we don't have no more crack. We got the game. There's crackheads everywhere, but there's nobody on the block selling crack, right? And Little Wino, he really wants to make some money. You know, it's hard to take some broke kids and get them a little bit and tell them not to want more. That's a very difficult, you know, we wanted more. So it wasn't hard for Little Wino to want to seek out crack dealers so he can get some crack and start selling crack on the block. Now, if you go back, the original hookup was Jax. And Jax and Little Wino are cousins. First cousins, tight. Like, more than cousins, they like brothers and sisters. You know, they tight like that. And so, of course, he go to his cousin. And, see, let me break this down. This is before Dirt Bike was selling, and I don't think Dirt Bike was even selling rocks yet. Yeah, I'm gonna put that. Dirt Bike ain't even selling rocks yet. Nobody is selling rocks. The only person that has any experience on our block selling rocks is Little Wino, myself, and Danny Boy working with the Jamaicans. None of these niggas ain't sold no rocks. See, but Dirt Bike, he sees this game. Now, he might have been laced with the game in Bakersfield right before the block, or he might have got the game from the block. Be honest with you. I don't know. I'm gonna get with Dirt Bike. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna research this subject a little bit more thoroughly. But for now, Little Wino, we sitting on the block because Dirt Bike he had a job. Yeah, he wasn't selling no crack. This nigga had a job. Yeah, he just was a hustler and he had a job and he'd come around shooting dice all the time. He always had dice. He always what they hitting for. You know, he wanted to shoot some dice. So he wasn't selling no fucking crack, for sure. Now, we sitting on the block, Little Wino, he know all he got to do is get at his cousin Jax, and then he has access to Jamaican Derek. Because Jamaican Derek was a Jamaican drug lord that Jax was dating. See, we're going to bring this down a little bit more, slow it down. See, Jamaican Derek is the original nigga who set the block off, right? He had that yabby, that fire, right? And the only access to Jamaican Derek is through Jax. He was in love with Jax. Now, I'm not sure Jax was ever in love with Jamaican Derek, right? You know, because Jax, I don't think she gave a fuck about him like that. I think she liked him. It's a boyfriend, but, you know, I think he was in love with her. So it was easy for her to be able to, hey, this is my cousin, let's hook it up. So Jamaican Derek, through Jax, is the first person to bring crack to the block. Yeah, he gave Little Wino the sack originally and allowed him to start selling on the block. And Dirt Bike immediately. Now I don't know because I believe Little Wino had it first. And I believe Dirt Bike immediately because that's how Dirt Bike got his first sack. That's why I don't believe he was selling rocks before the block because Dirt Bike got his first sack through Jax Connect. See, this is why Jax is a centerpiece of this story, although she's not on the block all the time. She comes and she goes. But she is the girl with the Jamaican drug dealer boyfriend. And everybody needs these drugs. So now, Lil Wino, where the fuck is Jax? So once Jax come to the block, everybody want to get at Jax because they want to get at her boyfriend. Her boyfriend wind up coming through, lacing the homies, Lil Wino and Dirt Bike with the gang. See, I don't even think Jax was even selling rocks. I don't think she gave a fuck about that life. I think she just was a straight up, hustler. She did whatever she wanted to do. I just think she did whatever the fuck she wanted to do. I've never seen her sit around and say, hey, let's cut up some rocks and make some money. Edie, for sure. Edie don't give a fuck. She was on the block selling rocks like the rest of us. But Jax, she was just hanging out and shit. I don't think she really sold rocks like that. She had a boyfriend who was the man. Why the hell would she need to sell anything? So her boyfriend, Jamaican Derek, he the one that came to the block and laced Dirt Bike and Little Wino. This how Dirt Bike became the leaders of the Curve Serving crew. Because Little Derek put him down with this rock game, this crack, right? And through these Jamaicans, this is how our block became one of the most booming, popular blocks in our area. For sure. Because there wasn't no crack, there was crack over on the major street, the boulevard, there was crack over there. But on this boulevard, there was no crack. On Century Boulevard. Because Century Boulevard is a major street too. Now, let's slow this down. Because I want everybody to understand what's happening here. See, a year before this, there is no crackheads and there's no crack on the block. Or if it is, the effects of it is not known yet. But at this current time, this is a fast-paced, moving thing. Crack is starting to spread everywhere. And the guys on my block, once this game was introduced to us through the Jamaicans, there was no turning back. Now, this whole block got turned out. It wasn't just a couple of kids. Everybody on the block. This became common nature. It was nothing abnormal to see a bunch of little kids, 14, 15, 16 years old, sitting out there with a pocket full of rocks, running up to cars or talking to people, trying to sell them crack. Yeah, this became so normal that the same parents, a year before that, or maybe 2 years before that, they would have been punching on us and pulling out belts and calling you, man, it would have been ugly. You couldn't even curse at a parent. There was not even nobody selling weed on the block, right? Smoking weed, they looked at anybody who smoked weed like bad. Back then, they used to sneak in the back and jump in the car and hotbox to smoke weed. Yeah, I mean, everything changed so fast. It went from this community that had rules, that the parents superseded the community and their respect, and everybody was scared to disrespect each other's parents, and it was just a regular community like every other community. Within a year, once the Jamaicans, or that Jamaican Derek, because we begged for it. He didn't force it on us. We begged. Hey, Jax, what you do that? What's up with it? Yeah, Dirt Bike and Little Wino, they begged. And it turned the whole block out. Next thing you know, it was a normal thing for kids to be running around selling rocks, not only to crackheads, but to other parents throughout the community. Yeah, up and down the street, around the corner. These are people we knew a year or two before was regular hardworking parents. And now little kids that you looked at as that's my son's little friend, or some of these people might have been closer, or that's like a nephew to me. Yeah, these little kids is out here selling rocks to these same parents. See, I told y'all, the block is not always peaches and creams. It's not always brush fires either. But it's damn sure not always peaches and creams. See, this is the society that crack churned my community into. We was a society of pretty much fearful kids. We all feared each other's parents and had respect. I can't remember, man, if you disrespected somebody's parent, man, you had to be a serious motherfucker, man, a real sick nigga. It just wasn't happening. Till within a year, maybe a year and a half, two at the max, everybody had lost all respect. Even if your parent wasn't a crackhead, it didn't matter. Your son sold crack. So everybody was, half the parents who didn't even use drugs, they lost control of their kids too. Yeah, all their kids were infected like a virus. They was infected with this infatuation. Yeah, it was an infatuation of instant success. You know, I don't have to grind and graduate high school and I don't have to do any of this shit we've been told since we was little that I want to be a fireman or whatever. All that shit's out the window. Ain't nobody talking about I want to be a police officer, I want to be a fireman. You know, no, that shit's gone. Niggas want to be Nino Brown. Yeah, that's what niggas wanted. They wanted to be Nino Brown. That's the end of Curb Servers, episode 18. I'll be back. Get your popcorn ready. We're coming back.